Hey everybody, welcome to Beyond the Paranormal Podcast. It's Tuesday and we have another awesome show to bring you guys and gals out there. But first and foremost, will you please go out and subscribe to our YouTube page? It's very simple, Beyond the Paranormal Podcast. It's on there, just takes 2 seconds to click and like, share, and all that good stuff. And like our Facebook page too. On the podcast with us tonight, we have Mr. Daryl Marston. He's the host of American Ghost Hunter show on Paranormalwarehouse, and he's also was from A&E Ghost Hunters. Plus, I have my awesome co-host on here. Ladies, take it away. Introduce yourselves.
Okay. Hey, this is Pretty Creep Show.
And we got RhiAnna. You got to go with a nickname. I can't hear you, RhiAnna. No technical difficulties tonight, please. Can't hear you. Anyway, we have Mr. Daryl Marston on here. We're going to
How you guys doing? Yeah. I think your bio is a little old. I haven't done the American Ghost Hunter show in like 5 years, man.
Hey, it's still on there. We got
you. I own Paranormal Warehouse now. So yes, hey. it's a little off, but no, it's cool, man. It was one of my favorite times in paranormal doing that show. So,
RhiAnna, can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Oh, not this again. Anyway, so last time we had you on here, you was getting right into the good stuff, and I mean, you just flatlined on us. So
you might have to,
How about now?
We got you now, RhiAnna.
Yeah.
Sorry, Daryl, didn't mean to interrupt you, my man.
Yeah, you might have to restart me on that because I kind of forget where I left off.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do that. I know you was talking about going to, and the name slips my mind, but I could just see it right in my head. But anyway, we'll just get ready. First off, man, how you been doing, and what you been up to so far? Because I know you've been doing a couple outings here lately. What's been going on?
I'm super busy right now with all my appearances and everything. I'm heading out to Indiana on Friday, going to Manchester University to do a university event out there for a day or two. Just got back from Hindsdale last week. The week before, I was in Virginia. I'm all over, and I'll be in Kansas, not this weekend, but I believe 2 weekends from now. I'm just like so busy right now. Waiting on my whole book deal to go through. I should be able to now to talk more about that in sometime in May. So there's a lot going on. A new show coming out in June. So yeah, it's I've been crazy busy, man. It's nonstop. Yeah.
I got to ask this right off the bat. You mentioned another place I'd like to go to eventually is the Hindsdale House. How was that, man? Because I know paranormal is not like a light switch. You can't turn it off and on, when you want it. But
right.
How was it out there, man? Did you get any?
I've been there before. I was there about 6 or 7 years ago. The first time I was there was right off the heels, coming off a couple of different shows, and it was really building up to be this phenomenal location where everybody went. And honestly, didn't get a whole lot the first time I was there. But this time I went there, I did an event. There was about 35, 40 people there. And that location is not that big. I mean, no. It's maybe 250 square feet, the whole house. Mm-hmm. So you're packing, and it was bad weather. It was snowing. We were there last weekend. We're getting a snowstorm out of Buffalo. But people came out, man. It was amazing. We got a lot of cool evidence. And I think some of the people from Flumery Events are still going over some of the video evidence and the EVPs and stuff. But I know we captured some really cool stuff out there, and I was pretty blown away by it because the first time I'd actually I don't think I got anything the first time, if I can remember correctly. But this time it really paid out, and I don't know if it was the energy of everybody being in there, or it had been sitting for a while, because I think a couple people said it was like their first event they were doing there since really COVID kind of let up. A couple people hadn't been there in about a year, so people were running it. So it may have been just sitting docile for a while, and it started building that energy back up once all these people got in there.
See, that was another thing that I was thinking about here, and I thought, well, that's kind of crazy because paranormal is just paranormal. It's out there. The pandemic's not going to affect it, but But when I started thinking about it, you've got all these people who stop tromping, and I call it tromping, at these locations 24/7, and everything just settled down.
Yeah.
It's going to vibe back up again stronger, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, a lot of these locations, I love doing locations that either haven't been done before or haven't been done that often and maybe been sitting for a while, because I always feel like I get the best evidence out of those locations for the simple fact that they've been sitting for so long, and that energy, because, I mean, my theory is the paranormal, spirits, entities, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, are just energy. They're us. They're leftover matter from us, and they need to feed off of something. So basically we're a battery for them, and they feed off of that, and then that energy builds back up after it's been sitting for 6 months, a year, however long it may be, and it's got something to feed off of. So it's starting to communicate. It's waking up. It's able to start moving around, doing what it's got to do, and I think that's what happened there when we were there last weekend. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And for folks who don't know what the Hindsdale House is or what it looks like, it's just a small country farm that Mom and Pa would live in. Yeah. You wouldn't think anything about it, but man, let me tell you something. From everything that you read, and I know a lot of it's all hype. I understand that, but to go there and actually hear and you have your own paranormal experiences, man, this place seems like it'd be jumping.
Oh yeah, it's got a huge long backstory to it. I mean, it's so old they don't even know how old the location is. Really, the farmhouse and the property had a lot going. There's been a lot of tragedy on that land as well, as far as Native American, all the way up to the settlers who settled up in that area, up in upstate New York. So it's got a long history leading all the way up to the 1990s. There's were 2 murders there. Well, there was a murder there, one on that property. Yeah.
Ladies, you have anything before I ask the next question?
Go for it.
Lloyd,
you go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
We're all good.
So now we're going to get into what we started out with. Seems like 6 years ago. But what got you into the paranormal and wanted to start researching on this, man? What was that first kick in the butt for you?
Complete accident. Back in 2005. I mean, I was always on the fence about paranormal. I mean, the shows weren't really that big at that point in 2005. They were just kind of coming out. And I had some paranormal experiences as a child, and I actually grew up in a haunted house, but we moved out there before. I was way too young to know and even remember it. I was like 6 when we moved out. I just remember the stories my parents and my grandparents had told me over the years. But all the way up to about 2005, I mean, I was walking through life with blinders on. I got invited to a paranormal event. It was around Halloween. My mom was actually going, and she wanted someone to go with her. I don't know if she'd won tickets or gotten tickets to this thing. It was local. And I said, all right, what the hell, I'll go. I got nothing better to do. So I went, and it was at a place called Fort Delaware here in Delaware where I live. And it's an island, Fort Delaware. It was a Civil War prison camp for the Confederate soldiers and even German soldiers during World War II, which a lot of people don't realize. But we went to this location, and I actually witnessed a half-body apparition, my first investigation ever. It was only there about 2.5 hours. Nice. And I was hooked, man. I was like, I didn't tell anybody about it for a while. I just knew when I left there, I wanted to pursue this in some way. So it became a hobby, just doing local places, then kind of building off of that and just, growing out of that. And next thing I know, I'm running around and doing all these different places, all over the East Coast. And then I got into doing the podcast live streams where the American Ghost Hunters show started, and went to Paranormalwarehouse, and that's where Ghost Hunters actually found me. And that's where I got hired from Paranormalwarehouse to Ghost Hunters as the co-lead investigator.
So when you saw that from that Fort Delaware, did that want to make you find out more information about that location and why you saw it, possibly could have been? What all did you find out possibly, or did somebody help you with it, or? No,
I did most of it myself, and I was at the time, not long after that's when I started dating my wife now, and she got into it. So I actually investigated Fort Delaware maybe 8 or 10 times after that.
Oh, wow.
and started buying some of the books and looking into the location. And there's a lot of archives over there you can go through while you're there, and looking up certain people's names who passed away, because I believe it's like 4,500 men died there over a 3-year period.
Gee.
So it was called the Andersonville of the North. So basically, if you went to Fort Delaware, there's a good chance you weren't leaving Fort Delaware. Mm-hmm. It was pretty bad. Most of the soldiers that were kept there were prisoners of the Battle of Gettysburg. That was a large majority of them. And there were civilian people there too, who, at one point here in Delaware, if you got caught whistling Dixie, you were in prison for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Even though this state was kind of like it was a kind of a great, it was on the border. It wasn't really red or blue state, but it was like, it kind of was on that line where, you had both here. But the government here at one point, if you whistled Dixie, you would be locked up for it. So you had people there who were just, common folk, along with these prisoners from, all over the South and wherever they came from. So yeah, there's a lot I read into it. It's actually, there's a chapter of it in my book that's coming out next year, all about Fort Delaware and my experiences there and how I got started. Yeah.
It's crazy. You'd be whistling Dixie or just whistling anything, man, and you're locked up.
Yeah. It was pretty serious, man. It was like, when you read that, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah.
It's like now, okay, think about this. Now, certain states, if you get caught feeding the homeless, they'll arrest you right on spot.
Yeah, that just blows my mind. I mean, really, it just blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be a rebellion. I'm going to whistle Dixie.
Well, you live in the right state for it, so I guess.
I can sing the White Yoakums. I sang Dixie, and then there I go. So what was your reaction, Daryl, to catching your first EVP, if you can recall, man? What was your reaction when you first got that one?
God, man, you're going back. I've captured so many EVPs. I don't know. I think I was, it was exciting for me. I think it's one of those things you don't believe it at first. When you finally capture it, you're trying to debunk it in your head. Was anybody talking? Well, it was a million things that go through your head when you capture your first EVP. And usually your first EVP is pretty crappy. It's like, it's not top of the line. It's on a really shitty recorder or whatever you got at the time. Yep. But I do remember, some of the first pieces of evidence, I captured, and, some of the pictures and stuff. And then you look back on them now with all the technology we have, and you're talking 15 years ago when I was capturing that stuff. And you look back at it now and you're like, you're kind of on the fence sometimes with what you know now, because you're just starting out back then. I knew nothing about paranormal. I knew nothing about the equipment. I knew nothing about, ghost hunting or the roles, you kind of evolve yourself, and you kind of, you mold yourself into this investigator who it's a constant, I'm constantly changing. And from where I was, 15, 16 years ago, however long it's been, to what I am now. And I'm always adapting. I'm always picking up new stuff. I'm getting rid of some of the stuff that I used to do, or, I'm adopting these new, strategies and things, and being a little different with my, my investigating skills. A lot of my investigating these days, though, it's not like back then where I was able to just go to a location, there'd be 2 or 3 of us, and and you can just do your thing. Now I'm with the public, and it's, I got 25, 30 people with me, or sometimes more than that. And it's like it's more of a, for me now, it's more of a entertainment value to keep them entertained. I'm there for them, and I'm more of a teacher I'm teaching a lot of these people how to do things, and some of these people have never investigated before, and some of them have, and it's a constant picking your brain and just learning off of what you know.
Cool part is I still have my very first digital recorders to this day. I still have them.
Tell you where mine is.
And I'm still going to use them because I like that static sound. I don't like this digital full crap. To me, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like if you got a recorder, it's got the static, it helps it out for some reason.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why, but it just seems like it's more prominent. You can get your EVPs that way, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I mean, I've carried a couple different recorders, man. I've got a Zoom 6. That thing was like $500, and I got
Yep.
a little cheap 25-hour recorder that I have as well, and I use them. I use them both. So I mean,
Yeah, I got a Zoom H5 that I just felt like I've just wasted money on. I'm just like, I'll just use it for interviews for my podcast, for my music ones. So
well, the Zooms are amazing pieces. I mean, the one I have is basically it's a mobile studio.
Yeah.
It's way too complicated for anybody to use almost for an investigation, but it looks really cool. I use it on the show a couple of times. You'll see me using it, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Ladies.
Also, there's all kinds of new equipment coming out all the time. Do you have a favorite one? Like, are you into the SB7s, or do you have something that's your go-to?
My go-to is usually the EDI Plus. I try to stay more like when I'm doing actual investigating, like on a show or something, I'm trying to stick more to a scientific value with stuff that you can actually use as evidence. It's a little hard sometimes. Like, say if I was dealing with a client like we did on Ghost Hunters, where we have at the end of the week, you have to sit down with this client and tell them what's going on there. It's a little hard to take an SB7 or a spirit box of any sort and say, oh, this is what we capture, and prove it to them that, that's what it was real. But I can take an EVP, or I can take a piece of video evidence like, a thermal, or, something like the MCCD camera, or even the EDI Plus that we use on the show. And I have one of those where, you can actually break it down to them on an actual laptop or on a computer and show them, especially with the EDI, with the different, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the EDI or the data recorder, but it actually has a spot where you put a memory card, and you can record everything that's going on in real time. So if you're getting, if you're hearing sounds like footsteps or something's happening in a room and that EDI is going off at the same time, and you're getting hits on it on pressure or temperature, whatever it may be, EMF, you could actually take that and correlate it with what's happening in the room at the same time. And it lays out a map on it has a, on the memory card, when you put it in your computer, it'll lay out a map showing what's happening at the exact same time you're getting those hits. So it's a really, really neat piece of equipment to use, where you could show people, hey, this is what we were getting when we got that, that recording, or that audio recording, that EVP. We were getting temperature changes, we were getting temperature increase, we were getting pressure change, and we were getting EMF at the same time. It'll show you all that on a graph.
Things now have gotten better as far as like technology wise for paranormal equipment. I like to keep it old school stuff because that's just what I grew up with coming into the paranormal field. But do you think that you could oversaturate yourself with equipment? I mean, you can spend more time setting up equipment than investigating.
Yeah. I was that guy. I mean, my old team, we have all the different monitors. It would take us 2-3 hours to set everything up, run all the cords, and by the time you're done that, you're worn out, and and then you got to break it all down at the end of the night, and that takes just as much time. And yeah, I do think it takes a lot out of you. Everything I have now that I use, I can carry in my backpack. Like when I go to fly out to Indiana on Friday, I mean, everything I got goes in that backpack, like my EDI, my recorder, my body cam. I usually wear a body cam for video evidence. Everything's right in there. And I'll show up to some of these events, people are like, hey, you need help bringing your stuff in? I'm like, it's right here. They're thinking I'm showing up with a van full of equipment or something. I'm like, nah, it's all right here. It's all I need. So it's interesting to watch, because I mean, I still have most of that old equipment. I mean, it's under this desk back here behind me. And hard cases full of that stuff. And I don't use any of it anymore. Man,
I learned the hard way. And you're right, because we went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital from Kentucky to Tennessee, and that's a good little drive. By the time we got there, I was like, I want a nap. I didn't investigate, but it took honestly, Daryl, it took us over an hour just to set up equipment. And I was tapping out. I was like, no, this is too much. Let's just hit the floor running and let's go. Yeah. I don't care if we have video or not. I don't care. Let's just go.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when we first started on Ghost Hunters, I remember the second day we were there, we flew into Jacksonville, Florida, and we were staying in a hotel in St. Augustine. And They loaded all this equipment. There's probably 12 to 15 hard cases full of monitors and all this stuff. And they're like, hey, the whole team came in there, and they're like, hey, you guys go through and you take what you want to use. And we literally probably threw out 3/4 of it. We got rid of all the monitors, everything. It's like, no, yeah, we're going light. We're going in, and we're using the correct types of equipment, and all that stuff slows you down. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
it really does, because you have to have someone sitting at a monitor, and watching. Or if you don't have time to go back, especially on a show, to we reviewed all our own evidence. Anything any piece of equipment we use, as far as static cams or body cams, or you're doing EVP sessions, we had to review all that ourselves. So we didn't have the luxury of having someone sit there and go through it for you and find stuff. So you'd have to go through all that equipment. So you got to kind of narrow it down, because you have 6 days to put all this together for a client. That's with you actually doing all your interviews, all your investigating, everything, and putting it together and trying to find this evidence and going over it. There's not enough hours in the day. It's just not. It's just how it is.
Lady.
Speaking of St. Augustine, where were you guys visiting down there? I know the lighthouse is a big location there.
Well, we shot we shot a show at the lighthouse. I was there twice.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I've been there, and it definitely has creepy vibes at that lighthouse. I actually didn't build up the nerve to go all the way inside and up, but I was there.
I know. I loved it. We had a great time there. It was beautiful. The weather was beautiful, as always. St. Augustine is just one of those places where you just want to retire and never come home.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. But no, we had a great time at the lighthouse. Actually, I said I've been there twice. I've investigated on the show there twice. We went the first time. We shot a whole week, and then I had to go back a month later to do interviews, me, Grant, and Kristen. So we were there for 2 or 3 more days. Yeah, amazing location.
I don't think I saw that episode, man. But you personally, what did you catch? Anything possibly, or just EVPs? Did you have any experiences?
We had a lot of personal experiences. No groundbreaking evidence or anything like that.
Yeah.
We had some. Me and Grant were investigating the top of the lighthouse, and when you get to the top landing of the lighthouse, right before you get to the actual lamp, where there's kind of a set of a spiral staircase to go up to the actual lamp where you can go on the landing, there's a cabinet that sits on this. It's like a landing below the landing, and there's this big wooden cabinet. It's probably 150 years old, and it's, for some reason, we were hearing noises. I was at the top of the stairs, Grant was at the bottom, and the door on the cabinet just flew open and smacked against the side of the wall. And the thing was, that thing was so stiff to open. Whatever it did, it had to have a lot of force behind it to actually open that cabinet and swing it open and smash it against the wall. So we had stuff like that happen. We had some cool experiences out in the actual out in the woods. But the property sits on maybe 6 acres, 7 acres, I believe it is. Maybe it's a little bit more. And there's an actual woods to it behind the lighthouse that kind of connects to it's kind of swampy back there. But we had some really cool experiences out there, because that was some of the new things people were talking about, all these different things that were happening on the property. So we went out there, we were getting all kinds of crazy stuff going on out there, thermal hits. And it comes to the point where you almost think it's some kind of animal, alligator, whatever it may be. But we couldn't find any evidence of any kind of animal. So you have to go back and watch the episode. It's been a couple of years, so it's a little foggy, but we have some really cool stuff happen there.
We got some people in the chat, and I'm sorry, folks, that I totally missed this in the chat. But if you have any questions or anything, you want to say anything to us, anything to Daryl, just put it in the chat. But it looks like we've got many in here. 92 Twitch 92. Let's go. That's how that goes. And then zombies will just get hungry if we don't feed them. That's possibly true.
Happens to all of us. If we
I don't have to be faster than nobody. I just have to trip somebody to get away. So watch out when you're with me, because you'll never know what's coming. I'll be like Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the world, like that. Charlie, I cannot say that last name. Westervet. And I hope I did not butcher that. Or Christina.
It's Christina.
Yeah, see, I told you. Go ahead. You all do this, because I'll screw everything else. And my little buddy down here, Toby Akers, my neighbor, little buddy boy. Hey to you too, buddy boy. Go ahead.
Christina said that she has a Zoom for over 2 years and that she had not caught one EVP on it, that she's not a huge fan, that they're great, but they're not her favorite for investigating.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that argument before. Yeah, I swear by the Zooms, but some of the cheaper audio devices out there are just as good, to be honest with you. I mean, like I literally just went and bought a new one the other day off Amazon. It's like $35, $40, whatever it is. Just something to carry with me while I'm traveling. It's a lot smaller than the Zoom 6. The Zoom 6 it's pretty big. Comes in a pretty good sized case and everything, so it's a little bit easier for me to get through TSA and everything with it. So, yeah.
So, let's see. Faith George has hearts in here.
She's giving us all kinds of lovins. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah. Let's see, RhiAnna, you could do one here too.
Oh, then I have to.
You need about 8, like Daryl said, you need about 8 monitors. Have everybody set this up for you. And there you go.
That's actually a question for you as well. Wait, hold on now. What's the best capture Daryl has ever found from 92 Twitch?
Best capture that I've ever gotten was on my body cam. And if you watch the Haines, Alaska episode, where I actually captured a full body apparition twice standing in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh. So, are you an audio junkie too? Do you just collect recorders? Because I do. I find myself buying recorders, and I'm going, I've got 6 recorders. Why do I need another one?
Not really. I mean, I go with what I got. I'm more of a guy. I don't like a whole bunch of equipment, man. I like going into these locations and just feeling them out and kind of going with the flow of whatever everybody else is doing. But when it comes to my own, like if I'm getting serious about something and I want to find out evidence, I'll definitely go audio, a good camera, video camera, and and just kind of feel it out, man. Do my thing. I like capture. I'm big on visual evidence. I love the video evidence for some reason.
So the event that we got going on in July, which we're going to announce next week, like I said, I've been in the paranormal field, was in it for about 6-7 years, and I don't have it, but my other guy who founded the Paranormal Society that we used to have back in the day, he still has his Hi 8 video recorder. And I was like,
very nice.
I was like, you're taking that with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You can't go wrong with old Hi 8s, man. I don't care. Cannot.
No, even with the audio, for your recorders and stuff, you have the reel-to-reel type, the old tapes. They're amazing, man. Yeah.
Ladies, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes. Just jump in here anytime.
Oh no, you're good. You're rolling.
Don't make me start singing that Limp Bizkit crap.
92 Twitch also asked if we could all of us could share our what did she ask a second ago? The best capture that all of us have ever gotten in terms of paranormal evidence, I guess.
I've got several. I mean, me personally, when you, and Daryl can probably back me up on this, when you ask a question and then out left field, you get a full sentence and not just like one full sentence. I mean, like on one location, you get multiple full sentences. That's like a A+++++++. I mean, that's
If you can get, something actually conversating back with you with what you asked, and you get something back in that nature, I mean that's pretty compelling evidence.
And the thing about it's not just different voices, it's the same voice, and I still to this day don't understand or comprehend that, because that's a lot of energy that spirit has to use to talk to you, to say those full sentences. And I'm going, am I getting played here? Because I mean, that has to go through your mind too when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I mean, as far as getting played, if you know who's there with you, you're fine. But that's the bad thing about when you do the large groups. You always have to mark everything that happens. Like every time someone takes a footstep, someone coughs, someone takes a breath, you got to mark it, because you don't know. I mean, you go back and listen to it, and a half hour later you forget all that happened, or someone was whispering. You're like, oh my God, we called something, and then that's why you have to mark it.
So we always did that. But with the location that happened at, there's only 3 of us.
Well, so that's pretty good evidence then, if it was just the 3 of you and no one was talking, and you marked it. Yeah, absolutely.
So when you're going into an investigation, do you like to keep an open mind if possible? Do you want to know as much information as you can, or you just want to like if you're not helping a family, and you're just going to a location that you just maybe heard something about?
Yeah, no, I like I don't like a whole lot of information. I mean, I like to know a little bit about the backstory, but I don't want to know all the nitty gritty and the everything about it. I want to go in and form my own opinion, and then I'll go off of evidence that was captured before I was there, and kind of see see if some of the backstory matches up with what I capture, if I capture anything. That's how I like actually doing it. Some people like a whole lot of backstory and a lot of history on location. I'm not big on that. No.
Yeah.
I feel like it can be interpreted the wrong way if you come at it from a different point of just influence too much of what you're getting. And if it's something that especially with audio, it's like if you heard something that can correlate to something maybe someone told you, you can completely override what is actually there. But because
your mind's gonna like, so if you heard so and so died here, lady named Tina died here, and all of a sudden you're getting EVP, and it could say anything, your mind may already think, oh, he said Tina died here, or Tina's here, or so it's I don't like to know a lot of the names. I don't like to know. I mean, if someone if there was some insane tragedy that happened there, I want to know about it, but I just don't want to know too much. I feel like it just taints everything. It taints anything you capture, because your mind's automatically going to go to that.
And two, like if you go to these pay to play places, as I call them, because I mean, face it, you're going to have to do it unless you're real good for the owners or whatever. But you can psych your own self out before you get there, and by the time you get to that door and unload your equipment, I mean, you're already wasted. You're gone. It's like, what can you really focus on other than the names that you found out? What's the history behind it?
Right. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you can go into a location, man, and find something totally new that nobody else ever known about or knew about. I should say. Good Lord, I'm all over the place tonight, Daryl. Way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ladies?
Sometimes you can get stuck living in a haunted house and had no idea that was going to happen when you were a little kid. You never know where you're going to run into this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I definitely agree. Like and somebody in the chat even mentioned, if you go into it with the backstory and the history, you have a preconceived perception of kind of what's going to be going on.
Absolutely.
Critina got scared by that face in the window on her third drop episode.
Oh, I sure did. Yeah. To this day, I have nightmares about that. So, and I guess that leads into another. Is there anything that's ever happened to you, Daryl, that has like completely just like freaked you out, or that like for me, like I have nightmares about what happened to me. So like, has anything like that ever happened to the extent that you feel like you're a little bit traumatized afterwards?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what the book I wrote is about. That's coming out next year. It's about a location and an investigation I did back in 2015, I believe it was. Yeah, 2015. And it kind of tells you everything that happened. It's probably the only place that's ever really threw me for a loop, and it almost made me quit doing this altogether. It was it wasn't a good location, and I went in there unprepared and very arrogant to what was happening there, and it kicked my ass. So that's probably the only one I can actually say, besides maybe Anderson Hotel in Kentucky, where I actually got thrown about 5 feet across the room, and I don't know what threw me. I don't know how it threw me. I didn't feel anything. I just remember something picking me up and throwing me.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was more like a burst of energy, is what I could just say it was.
Anderson Hotel.
I didn't feel like hands or anything. I didn't feel anything shove me.
Your point on your body, just
it was like a shock wave almost.
I actually got invited to that place a couple years ago, and I didn't go. So I'm kind of glad that I steered clear hearing that.
Yeah. Anderson was one of those ones where you just weren't ready for it. You're just like, okay, this is going to be a cool little hotel, and you're going to investigate it and get a few EVPs. And we went in there, man. We just weren't ready for it. It was pretty shocking. Yeah.
So before that happened, did everything just feel normal? Did you have like
no. Yeah, no. It was pretty normal most of the night, to be honest with you. We weren't getting a whole lot. It's like this hotel is like, it's I don't even know why they call it a hotel. It's really not that big, but it's probably got maybe 15 rooms, and one side of the hotel feels fine, and then when you cross over to this threshold into the other side of the hotel, it's like a doorway and kind of leads down a hallway. It's a totally different atmosphere over there. It's like you just walk through the gates of hell. It just feels that way. It's like it was the most intense feeling I've ever felt on an investigation. And so it's coming down to the end of the night. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We're tired. We've driven all day to get there, and we've been there for 7 or 8 hours investigating. And so we're like, hey, let's go over to the other side of the hotel and do a session. So they had a spirit box out. There was 4 of us. They had a spirit box out, and they're doing a session. And things just start feeling really weird in this room, and everybody's like really on edge. Like the guy who's holding the camera, my buddy Keith, he at one point he felt like something bit him, on the back of his leg. The next day we could see actual bite marks on the back of his leg. But there was this buildup, and it just it's just, you could feel the atmosphere in the room just getting more tense and tense and tense. And then like you just felt like something was going to go down, and all of a sudden, man, it went down hard. And I remember sitting in a chair. I stood up. I was kind of looking. I saw something from my peripheral vision on my left hand side. There was like a door there going into another room, and I kept looking, and I saw something, a flash or something, and then from the front of me, something hit me as I was standing up. And when I came to, I was laying on my back about 5 or 6 feet away from where I was, and the chair I was sitting in was totally flattened on the floor. I annihilated it.
Oh God!
I took it out. It was done. It was this old kitchen chair. I'll never forget. And I remember getting up, and like the one guy runs in the room. He heard me hit the floor. He said, "What? What the hell was that?" And I said, "I don't know, dude." He's like, all I remember is grabbing the girl who was in the chair in front of me, and I pulled them all out of the building. Like I said, we're rolling. And I just got everybody out of the building. And I actually went back there about 2 months later to try to figure out what happened and try to recreate it, and got absolutely nothing the second time there.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
I've talked to many paranormal investigators because I kind of had an experience to where I said, I'm done with this, what I brought home, but now everything's cool. But everybody goes to that point, I think, and then they slowly, gradually get back into it because it's just in our blood.
Yeah.
Was that for you? Was that for you too, man? Just slowly got back into it?
Yeah, well, Anderson didn't really do that much to me. I mean, it was a cool experience. It was a crazy experience. But whatever was at Anderson, it stayed at Anderson. When I left there, I felt fine. Nothing happened. Nothing followed me home. But the location I wrote the book about, the House of Wills, which is in Cleveland, that's the home, and that's the one that played havoc on my life for a good month, where it made me like so depressed. Like I was like, I'm never doing this again. Screw investigating the paranormal. I'm done. I found God. I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And then I finally got my senses about me, and I took about 2 months off, maybe a little bit longer. And then I was like, all right, maybe let me start easing back into this. Once things got better, of course. And I started getting back on track, and I started feeling better. And that's the place that really that's the one that had really kicked my ass. Yeah, I went in there, but see, what I chalk it off to is I went in there very arrogant, and it was all for a good reason, because I believe it actually humbled me as an investigator, and it made me a much better investigator than what I was before I went there. And that experience is made where I go into an investigation now. I am a complete observer. I don't go in there to act to provoke or to get answers. I just go in there and observe, and whatever I bring out of it, I bring out of it. And that's how I do it now. And I think I'm better rounded, more rounded investigator for it, and more rounded person, a human being, because of that experience.
RhiAnna, was you going to ask something a minute ago? Go ahead. Okay.
In the chat, we've got Faith George, and she said, when you capture something, how do you not shit yourself? I know, playing hide and seek as a child, I was nervous as hell.
Yeah. When you capture something, I mean, that's like kind of like, that moment. So it's like, that's what you come here for, or that's, and usually it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen like it does on the shows where it happens every 5 minutes. I mean, you can investigate a location. You got to remember when you're filming the shows, you're there for a week sometimes, and you don't get anything. You might get one or two things. And in that 43 minutes of the show you're watching, we filmed for 6 days straight, and you're only getting 43 minutes of the best stuff. And usually out of that 43 minutes, maybe there's 30 seconds of actual evidence, or if you can call it evidence. So yeah, it doesn't always happen, but when you do get it, it kind of, it regenerates you, and you want to keep going. It's always good when it happens, when you can tell just that EVP or something, happens where you maybe see something or someone sees something, and it just kind of, it raises that energy level back in the investigation and gets you back into the game.
Do you feel a location can consume you as far as like take over you, like either researching it or just staying at that location more than what you ever would do?
Yeah, I was like that with Fort Delaware for a while. For the first couple of years I was investigating, like I wanted to go there every weekend. I fell in love with that location. It wasn't that it was just because, it was because my first experience was there. It was kind of like, an addict trying to get their first high back again, So I was trying to recreate that experience. Yeah, I've seen that with a lot of investigators, a lot of friends of mine who investigated, there's that, everybody has that one location. If you're a serious investigator or even a novice, you get that one location that just draws you in, and it's like, it's kind of stamped on you. And it keeps drawing you back and drawing you back. It's that one location that you will always go back to. Yeah, I've had that. Absolutely.
How did you break yourself from that, though, to say, I've got to get away from this? It's consuming me more time than I need to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you don't want to definitely get to that point, but I think with me, I can only speak for myself. I think what will happen was something better came along, a better location or something else caught my attention. With me, I was really stuck on Fort Delaware because I've had so many great experiences there. But then the House of Wills came along, and that took me to a whole nother level of investigating and what I was dealing with, because I was dealing with something very dark at the House of Wills compared to what I was dealing with at Fort Delaware. So I think I don't think it really broke me of it. I just think it kind of it drew my attention away from it enough where I've kind of forgotten about it.
Ladies, it's like we're on Family Feud.
It seems, John, like you were asking. So, like, what about you? Is there a place that you feel like was consuming you at some point?
Yeah, but I can't talk about it on here because it's one of those residential.
Is it like a personal residence?
No, it's just a place I don't want to talk about. But yeah, okay. It did. I'll tell you guys after the podcast. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like one of those things, like Daryl said, you keep going back because it's kind of like getting that first hit, that first high. It's like, all right, I got an EVP. Now let's go back and see what's causing this. What's there, and then you start figuring out like the location information, and you don't just focus on what's there now. You go back and find old records and try to find old records about that place. You don't know if the addresses have changed, the location names changed. I mean, it's just like a rabbit hole that you go down to, and it gets fork here, fork there, go here, go there. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
All this stuff is crazy.
Daryl, do you have like a bucket list location, like a place that you would really like to investigate that maybe you haven't gotten to yet?
Oh, myself?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I always go back to this one. And it's not because I really like am drawn to it. I would say Amityville, because I just feel like it's never been done. And I believe there's a lot there. I would love to go there to either approve or disapprove it.
Yeah.
I think that would be if I had a chance to go anywhere and I could pick any location, I would honestly, because you got to remember, back in the 70s and 80s, that was like the go-to place. That was the one that made all the movies about. That's the one that really sparked a lot of people's interest in paranormal.
Oh yeah.
And I know it sparked me as a child. I mean, I remember thinking, when I was a child, when that movie came out, it was something that really stuck with me, even though I wasn't really into that, but it really scared me. I would love to go there and try to either prove or disprove or get any kind of evidence out of that location.
Mm-hmm.
We just got like a couple more questions, and we'll let you go because you got to get out here.
Yeah, you're good.
But,
you're good.
I want to know this because I know when I was doing it, and I know RhiAnna's probably done this, experienced this too. But Critina, going to get out of that car, honey, and go with us. We're going to get you going, honey. But how frustrating is it for you to hear an audible voice phenomenon, and it's not on a recorder? It doesn't get on no recorder whatsoever.
Yeah, I've had that happen quite a few times.
It was into one.
Yeah.
Naked or naked eye without it being captured. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had that happen a lot of times and it wasn't just me that heard it. It's weird because I've been in locations where half the people in the room heard it and the other half didn't hear it. And it'd be someone who's standing right next to you. They didn't hear it, but the guy across the room heard it. And it's just weird. It's kind of like the Mandela effect. Some people hear it, some people see it, some people don't see it. And when that happens and you don't have it actually on an EVP on a recording, it's just like, wow, yeah, what was that?
Here's another question for me that I think is absolutely not hilarious, but I find it really crazy because, and everybody throws up a debate about it, and there's no debate about it. It's every day. It doesn't matter if it's night or day. But you have people saying, you can only do a paranormal research or paranormal investigations at night. That's total BS. What about your experiences during the day, man? Let's talk about that a little bit versus say at night.
I've had just as many great experiences in the middle of the day than I have at night.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are stuck on the whole night thing because of the shows.
Yep.
And the reason most of your shows, your paranormal shows, are shot at night is because, for one reason, most of your equipment works better at night. Your IR, your thermals, and things of that nature. You can't use that stuff during the day and daylight. It doesn't do anything for you. Another thing is the ambiance behind it. It's dark out, it's scary out, and there's that whole build-up. I've been to locations in the middle of the day, just walking through a location at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, getting the feel of the place, and had some amazing experiences I can't friggin' wrap my head around. From balls of light to light anomalies to shadow anomalies to full body apparitions to audible voices in the middle of the day. It's not just at night. They don't come just out when it gets dark. They're there all the time if they're there.
We got a question in the chat from Dover Paratech that says, "Hey Daryl, what tool used in paranormal research do you absolutely think is BS?"
Wow, you're putting me on the spot on that one because there's a lot of them out there.
That's what we do.
Let me see how I can put this. It has. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want to throw any people under the bus. But I'm gonna kind of piece this together so people know what I'm talking about. At least the series of Paranormal Investigator. It comes out of your Xbox.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Who that was from? Dover Paranormal.
Yeah, Dover Paratech.
Dover Paratech. So I mean, that's my answer to that. This piece of equipment is actually a part of your Xbox. So I think that's the biggest piece of crap out there. Yeah. And I've got one. So I was in that loop 10 years ago. I've got one that's sitting under this desk right here that I've used maybe twice. That was 7-8 years ago, whatever it was. And I really bought the thing because I wanted to prove or disprove it for my own reasoning. And I spent a lot of money on it. And nah.
They replied, "Attaboy, I know all about it deeply."
the first time I saw it ever used, I was like, "There's no way. There's no way."
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. It looks good on film. Yeah, and this is one thing I've always said, and it's not to knock anybody or knock people or anything. The viewers, people love flashy lights, and that's one of the kind of ongoing jokes we have on the shows and stuff. Like, hey, there's some flashy lights in there. People are going to draw right to it. And that's, it's the truth, especially if you're not used to actually investigating. And a lot of people get drawn by stuff like that, and they don't look into the history of it, or they don't look into what makes it work. And it's very easy to manipulate that and fool people.
Yeah. So what did you take away from being on A&E Ghost Hunters that you can add to your arsenal as a paranormal researcher? And I know you've done this many years prior to this, but working with these guys and gals, what can you take away to add to your arsenal?
Damn thing.
We love the honesty. We love it.
Yeah.
No. From I think what I could take away from it is I learned a lot about the business. And don't be fooled, people. This is a business. And I learned a lot about filming and and the way things are done, and it's run and gun, and how much goes into it. And I think I learned a complete new respect for it, because a lot of people think, oh, these guys got it made. They go out and they film. They get to film an investigation for 5 or 6 hours. Nah, man, you're talking 16-hour days.
Yeah.
You're talking traveling. You're away 3 weeks at a time from your family, sometimes longer. You're flying from one place. It sounds fun. It sounds like you're jet setting, but when you're sitting in coach and you're traveling from Colorado to freaking Florida, and then Florida to New York, and then New York to Alaska, it kicks your ass. But I learned a lot about different film techniques and ways of doing things, and that's inspired me to do so much more in this business. And that's kind of what this new show is about, that's coming out in June, that I'm working on. Got some really great people with me, some great producers, and I can't wait to get it out there. Things should start dropping the next, probably literally this week, advertisements for it on social media at least. And it's going to be called Dead Live. It's an entirely different way of filming. It's going to be on a live interactive paranormal investigation. So it'll be live. It's going to be about 4 or 5 hours an episode, where you can come on, you can watch, and you can interact. You can actually sit there and talk to us, but you can also interact by, it's like a game. You can pick your investigator out of the 4 investigators that are on the show. You get to pick the location they go to in the building. You get to pick the equipment they use, if they use any equipment at all, and you get to pick the experiments that they do.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. We're very excited about it. It's never been done before.
Yeah,
and got some great people involved. Not including myself. I'm executive producer of the show, but I've got Chelsea Gills, Psychic Medium Chelsea Gills, Mike Diamond, Omar Gosh, and it's going to be a great time. I can't wait to get it out there. June 11th, we start in Cleveland, and we're just rolling through it. All live paranormal series on demand.
We're going to be special guests on there coming up.
Absolutely.
We're just going to roll up and go, hi.
Yeah, but we got some great people behind the scenes too.
Sorry.
What was that?
I just wanted to go ahead and plug when your book would be out. And
it'll be out this time next year. The soft release will, and the hard release will be August of next year, right before Halloween. Yeah.
We gonna get an audio version of this too?
It will be an audio version. It comes out with the soft release, I believe. So the soft release will be all online stuff. Comes out next spring, and the hard release will be in August, where it actually hits like the bookstores. And the book is called "The Devil Resides in Cleveland."
Oh, nice! That's awesome, folks. We want to thank our guest Daryl Marston for being on here. He's always welcome back on here to talk paranormal stuff, and we're going to talk to him a little bit more here in just a little bit after the podcast.
Yeah.
But we have a huge announcement that we're going to announce next week on the podcast. That's coming up in July. That I'm very, very, very happy about, and I'm very. This will be my first investigation back into the paranormal field after 12, 15 years.
Wow.
So yeah. And I could not pass this up, man. It's one of those opportunities. It's like, get off your ass and go, man. Just go.
Yeah.
So that's going to be announced next week. And next Tuesday, the reason why we're going to do this is we have Tanya Webb. She's the co-owner manager of the old hospital on College Hill in Williamson.
I know Tanya very well. Yeah, I just did the old hospital.
And you don't call me, Daryl. Way to go.
I was just there in December. Yeah.
Anyway, folks, Daryl, if somebody wants to stay in touch with you, buy this book, comes out of your shows, how can you do that, sir?
The best thing is to go on my link tree on Instagram, and it takes you to all my social media, to all my events. You actually go on Flumery promotions too if you want to come out and investigate with me, see if I'm in your local state or your hometown or whatever. I'm all over the place. So come out and check me out. Hit me up on social media, and you'll be seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. Or Paranormal Warehouse. I'm co-owner of Paranormal Warehouse, so you can go in there as well.
Folks, next Tuesday, be back here because we have a lot of things to talk about next Tuesday. For my co-host, and I'll let them tell them their names this time.
Pretty Creep Show. Good night.
It's Rhi.
We'll see you next Tuesday, folks, and stay spooky.